Hey guys, how's it going? Burch here with another tutorial, and it's probably going to be a really long one again, with me rambling on whilst drawing some lips. So I don't know if you watched the last one or if you've watched any of my videos before, but I like to start with a base, and the base colour I use, it tends to be a kind of neutral light colour that I can build on, and it's quite it can be difficult to choose one if you haven't done it before, but you just need to give it a go. So I'm doing these lips now. This is an African man, and just drawing his lips, and there's a shadow here. So this is all actually in shadow, and it gets much lighter just here. I don't know if you can see properly yet, but as we go on, you will see it coming to life. So I'm just going to start off with this shadowed bit, just putting down the base that we're going to build upon. And this is, I think this is a Venetian red. I'm probably going to do I'll do a little quick tip video on a palette for natural lips. Because obviously if you're drawing somebody with lipstick on, it's going to be entirely different to just somebody with their natural lip tones. Lip tones don't change a huge amount in comparison to skin, and you'll see that in this one here, because the sun's shining quite brightly on these lips, and they look like pretty sort of normal lips, really. It's not massively dark or massively light. I think lips are quite similar in colour for a lot of people. So here we go. Just going to keep on adding this in. Just rub out that guideline there, so I can just put down this sort of basic base over here. You don't have to get on. We don't have to colour everything in one go. I like doing kind of shapes. So this is like one sort of little shape I can get on with for now, and you know, I'll get on with these other little bits around it later. At the moment I am interested in getting this shadow correct. And if you're unsure about you know, the form of this, I might just add this little bit of detail here so you can see where the rest of the lip is. So, nice big juicy lips. I think I'm going to add the shadow here for now, just so I can separate the two areas. I'm going to put this shadow in as sepia for now. Did a video on using black. Have a look at that if you're wondering why I'm using sepia. So I'm just going to put this shadow in here between his teeth. Just so I can differentiate between the inside of the mouth and where the lip is. we're just setting it all up now. That's what we're doing. We're setting it all up. We're getting it ready so that we can really focus. Now, normally I wouldn't use these pinks in the Polychromos range of pencils. I wouldn't use these pinks on black skin, but for lips they are perfect. These pinks and the light flesh, great for lips. And this part happens to have quite a bit of sort of pinkiness to it. Pomeranian red is also really, really nice for lip colouring in lips, and quite relevant here as well. It's almost like a dark pink, really, like a natural dark pink. Very good to use. So now I think I'm going to start off by these shadows here, start marking them out, these little details that I can see, little creases in the lips. So a little crease there, a little crease just there. Just mark out where it's all going to start. A little dark bit here, coming across. Okay, quite like that little, these shapes I've added in here. We can carry on from this now. What do we need? This is a pretty good one for here. Bit of burnt sienna. This is luminance burnt sienna. Quite different to the Polychromos burnt sienna. Some of this. Now, there's always bits with lips where the lips meets the skin. You're going to need to use a mixture of skin tones you were using in that area and the tones for the lips themselves. Because lips don't really, there isn't a defined line where a lip starts, really. If you look closely enough, you know, unless you're talking about lipstick, and yeah, then you will see definition because someone's literally painted it on there. But I think in nature, the lips just sort of blend a bit more naturally into the skin. So it's good to go back to using some of the skin tones you were using in the areas around the lips in order to achieve that. So right now I'm using a bit of Van Dyke Brown just to carry on this shadow that's at the corner of his mouth where his skin meets his lips. Just want to carry that on for a bit because it's not quite lip territory just yet. here. It's kind of almost there. And we're also in shadow there as well. So I'm going to just add a bit of this into the shadow. It makes it a bit more clear what we're doing. And let's add a bit more of this in. This is a really nice colour for lips as well. It's a burnt sienna 50%. It's a nice sort of in-between colour, you know, it's slightly purple, slightly sort of skin tony, slightly brown. It's like a nice in-between tone. Really good for this specific point. Quite nice for adding dark shadows to lips. But as always, it's only nice for adding dark shadows to lips if it's the relevant colour. So you've got to use your eyes, you know, don't just follow what I'm doing here, because I'm using these colours based on what I can see in front of me. You need to do the same with what you're looking at. Don't just use the exact colours I'm using. Pick them wisely for the picture that you're doing. And don't be too scared, just pick them and just, you know, get in there, start doing it. You'll only learn by doing that. Can see a little dark line just here, and another one just here. Blend that out. Couple of little dark patches. Now we're looking for a colour I can really add quite a lot of over here. This is the Venetian. It's a bit too terracotta-y. This is a nice colour for lips as well, although possibly a bit too red for now, this one. Probably will use it though. What else? I think I'm going to just start with a bit of this cinnamon. And then add some pinkness to it as we go on. Now just here it's really nice and dark, slightly greyish tones here as well. So I'm going to bring that out with a violet grey. Violet grey because it's got a bit of that redness in it because it's violet, so it's that slight sort of red and red blueness with the grey. Kind of ideal for like a really dark part of deep coloured lips, like a deep red coloured or darker coloured lips. I mean, this is quite a good colour for normal lips as well, to add little hints of shadow, different parts of the lips here and there. Just adding this a little bit. So right now here, even though we are in shadow, there are still lighter parts of the shadow. Like you can see here, I've done just over here, you get this feeling of a shadow, but then there are lighter bits within that shadow. Ooh, that's the bell. I'm going to blend some of this over here into where it meets the skin. And the lips meet the skin right here. So now we're getting somewhere with this. I think I'm going to just start drawing this side as well. So the top half isn't in as much shadow as that part there. In fact, I'm going to probably, this isn't done yet, I'm probably going to darken this a lot. Just going to add a normal base now for the top half. Now here I can see a lot more cinnamon going on. This cinnamon colour here is perfect for the base of the upper lip. Just going to add this in gently, not pressing too hard. This is just the first layer, so pressing really hard will use up the amount of colour we can put down on the paper. And you know, when you're using Bristol board, you can only put down so much colour before the paper just has nothing left to colour onto. So you need to be sparing to start with, and then press harder as you go on. I'm just going to add this in here. I think this is a good amount to do to show you guys both these bits of the lips. Now the top lip here really sort of blends in a whole lot more. This what you're seeing here on this side is a really blatant shadow just here. It's hard to show it because of the rest of the picture not being there, but this is a really sharp kind of shadow that ends here, but the lip carries on. Whereas here on the top lip we have no sharp shadow, and so the lip blends quite nicely into the skin. There's no real sharpness between this part and where the lips are, so this is a better example of how to blend lips into the skin around them. Once I've done the base, like so, I can start adding slightly darker tones, start emphasizing those creases in the lips. This burnt sienna, 50% I think it is. What do we need? So skin tones kind of bleed into this part of the lip. Skin tone from here bleeds slightly in, so I'm just gonna blend the two areas in together with some skin tones. So I'm just placing some of these creases, I can see. This isn't quite the right colour, but it's dark, and I can always go over it with other colours to bring out different tones. It's just a nice dark-ish colour to give us some guidelines as to where these lines and creases are going to be. Yeah, just a little bit here as well. And bring out some of this redness now, this Pomeranian red. It's a really nice natural kind of lip colour red. You can very slowly bring out using this. Again, it's a Polychromos, which means it's better for doing transparent things with, like adding transparencies. Just very slowly layering stuff on top of each other. I'm just going to add a bit of this to emphasize some of the redness that we're seeing here. So can you see that even though I was using a different colour to add these shadows in, I can now go back and give them a bit of richness. Now that I've placed them where I want them to be. Now this part needs to be a whole lot darker, so I'm going to probably add a bit of that, or mortem, maybe some of this caput mortem, just to emphasise the darkness over here. The shadow just here where his lips curl in. So you can see we're slowly building it up here. And this is no way near finished, but just so you can see, I've made a template almost that I'm now gonna work around and add to it's good to set yourself up, you know. Don't worry about making it look perfect straight away. You just need to set up a good template, you know, with certain features in place, like here, ready to work on, even more detail. So this is as far as I've got so far, and I'm just going to start adding some tiny little details, going further and further in. It's almost like zooming further and further in to the detail the more I work on it. I'm going to add a bit of pink over here. Gets really pink. And it's all about patience, really, and not stopping until you're happy. You know, as far as I'm concerned, you know, these are nowhere near done. So as long as you know that, don't worry about what it looks like currently, because you know you're going to add to it, improve on it. So just here, this crease is quite a sort of reddish dark colour, which I'm now going to add to it. Add some more of this over here. This is a, what is this? Indian red, I think. I think this is an Indian red. And sometimes, even though I haven't started on the next bit, I like to sort of carry it down just as a guideline for when I do start. Just so it flows a bit, you know, so I know where I'm going next, even though I haven't finished on this half yet. And you've got to think of all these areas as little landmarks, you know. You see that there's a little... Alright, my camera just died. It's working fine now. So, yeah, so I'm just been adding a bit of this skin colour here that I've been using. This is a brown ochre, I think. Just been adding some of that to this top lip here, just to bring back some of that brownness, that skin colour, sort of brown colour that we're getting on that lip. It's not all completely reds and pinks. You do have a bit of the skin tone coming into it, especially on the edges here where the lips blend into the skin. Now you notice that I don't really, I'm really bad at remembering the names of these colours, of any colours really, because I don't really find it important to remember names. I mean, good on you if you do, and I'm more likely to remember colours by what they look like and go for them in that way. I think learning theory can only help you to a certain extent when it comes to something practical like this, and so don't worry about learning all the colours off the top of your head. Worry about being able to choose the right colours for a certain area. That's much more important to a concept to understand, I think. So I've just been adding this and this tone here, which is again, I don't know the name of it. What is it? Brown ochre 50%, this one, right. Yeah, just been adding this in, sort of making this lip appear, basically. I'm going to probably add a bit of this, can't remember what it's called. I'll probably do a little quick tip video with the palette of this, palette for natural lips. Add a bit of this. I think the main thing with lips is you just need to concentrate on those key wrinkles and try and get the details out as much as possible. And highlights, which I will start doing soon actually. Might even do some a little bit just now, just to give you guys a flavour of how I like to highlight lips. Okay, so let's get the old electric eraser out. Sharpen it up like I do. Might need to replace the battery soon. Right. So now I can see that's a crevice there, but just on the outside of it is a little bit of highlight. Just on the outside like this. So I'm going to emphasize. You see that? Just going to emphasize this as well. There's quite a bit of highlights just here. So we've just been adding a bit of this, and does it need more? Yeah, it needs more. Need a bit more just here. And remember, you can always go back over this if you feel like you've erased too much. You're going to colour it back in then, aren't you? It's just about being patient and getting the balance right. And don't worry to keep on going over what you've done. Don't worry about that. More important, you get to a stage where it's exactly how you want it. So I've just done these highlights. I'm going to go kind of around them with this colour, which I'm seeing quite a lot of in this area. That's a burnt ochre. Is it 10%? I think it is. really useful colours, this. I mean, there just isn't a colour like this in the Polychromos range. You know, this kind of skin tony, sort of brownish, pinkish thing. It's just, yeah, it's the only thing that Polychromos lack, really, is this sort of huge variety of skin tones that you get with the Luminance range. I think if you're doing botanical stuff, flowers and whatnot, Polychromos certainly trumps the Luminance with the amount of greens and blues and reds you get with the Polychromos in comparison. It's insane. But when it comes to skin tones, I think Luminance kind of have the upper hand in the amount of colours you have to choose from. Obviously, I mean, it can still be achieved using Polychromos. You're just mixing a lot more and on the paper, layering and mixing in a whole lot more, which makes sense because Polychromos does lend itself to layering more than Luminance does. Now we're going to go in, refine. Need to rub away some of this darkness. I think it's a bit too much, a bit too thick. This crease just here, this little crease for his lips, a little too thick. Just going to get rid of some of it and add a bit more over here. Again, using the Tombow mono eraser, really useful for adding subtle little bits and erasing bits away from what you've done. Caput Mortuum Violet is ideal for this kind of situation where you've got these pinks and browns and these kind of colours for lips. This is a brilliant shadow shade for shadow. So I could add, if I had just a tiny bit just here, you can see how it's emphasised that shadow quite subtly. And yeah, so I'm just going to add a bit more of that here on the edge here where it gets the darkest, and just here. We're going to go darker here. It's going to be something like this, just so you can see. So it will, you'll really see the contrast between the inside of his mouth and the lips. But back to the Caput Mortuum Violet. It's a really nice dark colour for shadows on lips, like this. Like almost all of this section here can be just filled in with this for now. Yeah. Where is the white? So just gonna fill some of this out with some white as well. Sometimes it can be nice to add some highlights with white because the white will take on what's underneath. So in some of these areas I can see bits that are lighter, but they're kind of lighter with what colours are around them. So I'm kind of filling it in with white slightly. Just bringing out some of these little strange little blobs of colour that are slightly lighter in areas here and there. Here too. I mean, this whole thing, you know, doing this kind of work, it's a game of finding colours, seeing them, working out which one you need to put down, working out, you know, which pencils you need to use, and then accurately putting them down in the places that you see them in front of your eyes on the reference. I think a lot of art, well, like drawing and painting based art, if you're doing realism, it's about what you see in front of you. Remember that. You're looking in front of you at a reference or a life model or whatever you're drawing, a landscape that you're drawing, and then you're putting that onto your paper. So you need to be able to see those colours for exactly the colours that they are. And I think that's the main thing about colouring and drawing. You need to be able to distinguish shapes and patterns from what you're looking at and put them on your canvas or paper. Little blotches of this Pomeranian red coming in here and there. I've got to fix these lips on this side. So just going to extend this base over here now. So we're kind of moving onwards with these lips. Get on with it really. Move further along. And again I'm using the cinnamon to add a subtle base to this. And continuing these little wrinkles, these little stretches on his lips here, where he's sort of smiling and the top lip is stretching and creating these little wrinkles. Just adding them in. Again, don't have to make it perfect straight away, you can just add them in as a sort of guideline to start with. So we can see where they're going to go when we get to the next point, the next part of this, these lips here. Now right here we've got some very quite reddish looking bits. I think this calls for the Pomeranian or Indian, maybe a mixture of the two. I'm just going to start slowly adding this tint of reddishness here. Seeing how it moves. Now, bear in mind, I still haven't finished these bits yet. There's no real rules as to how to do it or what order to do stuff, you know, just see, look, I'm going back and adding a bit of this colour whilst I've got it in my hand. Just let it take over you, you know. Don't worry about what you're doing, let it take over you. Go wherever you feel like. Indian red. Just deepening this red tone with a slightly darker red. Might add it into these crevices a bit as well. Might add a bit over here as well. Realised this kind of cuts off just here, so I'm just erasing that slightly, coming back to it, blending it in a bit more, and adding these wrinkles back in a bit. See, we need a bit of Indian red just here. And remember, you've got to keep on going backwards and forwards with your head, backwards and forwards with your eyes, to your reference, and then back to the paper, to the reference, and then back to the paper. Keep on looking and transferring that information that you're getting from your reference onto your paper or canvas. Whatever you're drawing on. I think I've just got to do this a bit more this way actually. Yeah. Do this caput mortuum, nice dark colour for these kind of areas. Now, I think I'm going to start adding some finer details. There's quite a lot of fine little wispy details on this upper lip here. I'm just going to slowly bring those details out. Yeah, there's these creases, but then there are little creases in between the creases that I like to find and place on my picture. Like that little one there, little dot there. And of course there's little details also spread out onto the skin, so we need to make this all blend nicely into the skin too. Right, time to sharpen some of these pencils up so I can start adding more detail with them. What shall we use? The cinnamon. So, these subtle little lines. I think I'm going to sharpen the violet and Morton as well. There's these fine little wrinkles all over his lips here. Lips are usually quite wrinkled, so be prepared to do this. Whatever age of person you're drawing. You know, they don't have to be old to have wrinkles on their lips. Slightly greyish skin tones again here. That's why I'm using the raw umber 10%. slightly greyish little skin tones here and there. Got to bring that out. Autumn violet. It's kind of the ultimate dark pencil for lips, this is. Oops. These little bits sticking out of this here. Just want to bring those little bits out. Once you've got a group of pencils that you think you're going to use more often, like sometimes, you know, I just like to keep them in my hand really, and then have a jar below full of all the other bits and bobs I might use. Bring some of this Pomeranian red back into it. That's a lot darker through there. I'm just going to apply a bit of pressure, emphasize it a bit more. I've got this slight greyness coming in here. I'm going to just add. It's not quite as bright as I've made it there. So this is a sepia 10%, slightly greyish, reddish, warm grey that works nicely in this bit here. Time to add in a bit of sepia, really darken it up a bit. I'm not pressing really hard because it's not completely dark with sepia there. Just adding some extra darkness to it that the Mortem Violet can't quite achieve. Might just do these bits as well, just to avoid confusion. You can see that there are actually gaps between the teeth. Those will be neatened up later. I'm just putting them in now, just to keep an eye on where that is. This is where it gets really nice and dark. Lips are very much in shadow here. Still have a few creases running through them though. You're getting these sort of wrinkly lips coming out now slowly appearing. It's all about patience. Have patience. Please, just have patience with this. That's how you do it. I think with a lot of art actually, patience really is the main thing that you need to maintain really. It's, if you don't do it, if you're not patient, if you rush things, you're just not going to get anywhere. And eventually, by being patient every time you work, you start working more efficiently because you're figuring out the best way to work without really realizing it. And every time you spend more time being patient, you learn a whole lot more for the next time that you start drawing. You can apply that idea to anything really, if you want to draw superheroes or, you know, be patient. don't stop until you've achieved what you want to in your mind. Even if it takes a month to do one drawing, in that month of doing that one drawing in the way that you really want it to look, you would have learnt so much if you just had patience and sat there and did it. Okay. I think we're getting there somehow now. Kind of getting there. Just blending this skin into the lips a bit more. It's a bit darker here, so I'm gonna bring that out with a bit of cinnamon. So like a textured darkness just above his lip here. Use a bit of white now. Bring out these slightly grey areas. Then go back into them with some caput mortuum. And add a bit of this red tint over here, tinting the edges of the lips slightly red. So yeah, it's kind of coming together now. See all these little details coming in. These little red details. Where's my Indian red? Here it is. I think I'm going to stop there. Yeah, sorry if I haven't spoken much in this one. Just wanted to get on with doing the drawing really, and yeah, kind of happy with the way that's humming along. We're going to add quite a bit more to it. And yeah, I hope that's been helpful. I'm going to probably do another one pretty soon, although things are quite hectic at the moment in my life, so I'm not sure when that's going to happen. I will do it the second I get some time. And in the meantime, I hope you guys keep on drawing. I probably will have another quick tip video up soon. Yeah, keep an eye out for that as well. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye. Okay. I think we're getting there somehow now. Kind of getting there. Just blending this skin into the lips a bit more. It's a bit darker here, so I'm gonna bring that out with a bit of cinnamon. So like a textured darkness just above his lip here. Use a bit of white now. Bring out these slightly grey areas. Then go back into them with some caput mortuum. And add a bit of this red tint over here, tinting the edges of the lips slightly red. So yeah, it's kind of coming together now. See all these little details coming in. These little red details. Where's my Indian red? Here it is. I think I'm going to stop there. Yeah, sorry if I haven't spoken much in this one. Just wanted to get on with doing the drawing really, and yeah, kind of happy with the way that's humming along. Probably going to add quite a bit more to it. And yeah, I hope that's been helpful. I'm going to probably do another one pretty soon, although things are quite hectic at the moment in my life, so I'm not sure when that's going to happen. I will do it the second I get some time. And in the meantime, I hope you guys keep on drawing. I probably will have another quick tip video up soon. Yeah, keep an eye out for that as well. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.